early to mid 1980s G.I. Joe AM pocket. Well, let's call it a belt radio. I don't know about pocket. Um, this is basically I have a whole bunch of these that I've been working on repairing, and this one's kind of cheesy, but I mean I was born in the 80s. I watched G.I. Joe a little bit growing up, so it's kind of honestly had to do this one next. But I have two of them, and they're near as I can tell they're identical. I'm gonna start with this one. I'm gonna call it A. B is in a little better shape on the back. The belt clip is broke off of A. This plastic is very, very brittle. I mean, I tried to just gently take the battery cover off, and that just shattered. So I don't know if these have been like maybe left in the sunlight or if it was just like really cheap plastic to begin with. Also, the circuit board is loose in this one, so I don't know if somebody's taken it apart. Doesn't look like it's ever been worked on, but anyway, I just thought I would start with this one because it seems to be in slightly better shape. So there's 5 transistors, and there's no audio output transformer, and the speaker appears to the speaker appears to be an 8 ohm speaker and not like a high impedance speaker. So I don't really understand how that works, because all the other ones I've seen either have had a couple audio output transformers, or the last one I worked on had like a 60 ohm speaker. So I'm kind of learning this as I go, but it doesn't seem like it would be very efficient. But this one has such newer style transistors. I mean, the ad on eBay said that this was made in 1981, but I mean, the cartoon didn't come out. I looked it up. The cartoon came out in 83. The action figure was around a lot longer than that, I know. But I would think that this honestly was probably made in like 83 or 85 or something like that. So these are like fairly, pretty modern style transistors. So I don't know that it would necessarily damage them or anything. I mean, but again, I'm just a little perplexed at the lack of audio transformers. But I mean, this is like basically, I guess, supposed to be just a toy anyway. And near as I can tell, so I believe it only has one IF, and then the arrangement here looks a little funny, but this may be a driver and this may be push-pull audio. I'm really not sure. So anyway, I've got it hooked to a 9-volt battery. Got a grain of wheat bulb in series with the hot side. So as you can see, so I have not powered it on yet. Nothing. Our grain of wheat bulb is not lighting up. So interesting. So I think what I'll do next, because it seems like there's something going on with the audio section because I don't even hear any crackling, like nothing. And that sound you're hearing is just the tuning capacitor. I'm not hearing any crackling at full volume. So I'd like to know if the oscillator's running or not. And if it is, then maybe I'll inject some signal somewhere. I don't have a signal generator, but I could find a way to inject something. So I guess we'll move on. We'll go to that step. I guess the last one I did was just a simple recap. So of course this one's going to be a little bit more challenging. Turned out to be fairly complex. The battery was dead. I checked it with my voltmeter earlier because the last one went dead and I could have swore it said 8.5 volts, but it was 0.3 volts. It was completely dead. So I got this one out of my guitar, and it's down to 7 volts, so it's practically dead too, but should have enough to kind of give us an idea. But so I don't know if you can hear that, but it's picking up one. The only station it'll pick up is one, and it's I've got the audio all the way up right now, so it's very, very weak. And I don't know. Again, the battery's down to like a little over 7 volts, so it's almost dead. But I would still think you would hear a lot more audio than that. And the selectivity is just absolutely not there. I mean, like I said, no matter how I turn the dial, how slow or twitchy, it's one station and that's it. So I don't know kind of where to go from here, really. I mean, our grain of wheat bulb it's not lit up, so I don't think we're drawing too much current. But yeah, I don't know honestly what to do. I'm thinking maybe change the capacitors and then see where we're at. I don't know. I'm not super hopeful that that's gonna. And maybe it'll fix the audio problem. Like it might bring the volume back, but I'm not really hopeful that changing those electrolytics would actually increase the selectivity. Again, it only has one IF, so it's definitely not really going to pick up stations or as far as I can tell, it only has one IF. So I don't think it was really going to be a very good performer anyway, but I think more than one station is expected, especially because I live, here in Oklahoma City. So there's definitely a lot of close AM radio stations, I would think. So I think I'll probably change some electrolytics and then we'll kind of see where we're at. May probe some things with my voltmeter, look at the bases of these transistors and make sure that they're biased, because I mean theoretically the bases should have at least about a third of a volt on them. So do that and check back. Alright, so I found a hot battery. That other one was pretty darn dead. The other thing, I think that light bulb may have been limiting the current just a little too much. It's this part wasn't on camera. It was completely the battery, but once I put a hot battery on it, the volume still wouldn't really go up all the way with the grain of wheat bulb in line. And so I said, I better check the current. And I don't actually know if this is a problem. It's probably not. But
there's a difference with the Cowboys and Jerry Jones when it comes to negotiations.
So right now we're pulling about,
that did not involve
let's just call it 10 or
well, and everybody has. I mean, not every player in
13.
the league
Volume's up pretty good. But as we go up with the volume, we really start to draw a lot of current.
For some of these even superstar
And there's 34
athletes.
milliamps.
But it's not just that. You have to keep in mind, Jerry Jones ain't just an owner. I mean, that's the
And
real difference here.
As the volume goes down, it generally falls down. There it's not, but it generally falls down to basically nothing, about 1. I don't know if this how well calibrated this thing is, to be honest, or how accurate. I love this DVOM, but the current portion of it is a little bit finicky. But you can see it's at 1, and as I go up,
back in March, and then the contract stuff came up. And I think both of them should have, that according to Micah. Yeah, Micah said
it goes up to around 30.
Leadership, and then it started with leadership, and then it turned
So I don't know if that's really a problem. I mean, other than the current draw being a little bit high, the radio's performing quite well, especially for, as far as I can tell anyway, it only has 1 IF stage. I don't know, maybe if it's got some leaking transistors or something. I thought about, and I may change these audio output transistors, just for the heck of it. Because I have some that would work. And I'll probably just change all these capacitors because they're old. I mean, that's, I don't think any of them are really that bad, honestly. So I'll make a decision about that, and we'll go from there. I always take videos before, or pictures actually, before I desolder anything. That way I know how everything went back, especially with these capacitors, because they're polarized. And I seen that. That is really wicked. Looks like somebody in the factory, I guess they rubbed their soldering iron against it or something. I don't know why they would have had their soldering iron on this side of the board. So I don't know, with that, gosh, that can't be good for that capacitor. Well, it gets better. This over here is a huge blob of solder on top of this resistor, and then it's, I don't know if it's soldered. Yeah, I guess it was, at one time it was attached electrically to the case of that, and then it's connected to that resistor. I mean, I don't think it should be that way. I mean, maybe they botched it on purpose, but then that's not even connected to the lead of the resistor, so none of that really makes any sense. So I think, I don't know, I may go ahead and replace both of those resistors too. That is just really odd. Got those capacitors changed. Went ahead and pulled out that one resistor that had solder all over it. and I tested it. I don't know where it's laying at, but anyway, it's a 100K resistor, and it tested like 106. So it was okay, but it had solder melted all over it, so I just couldn't. Just figured it'd be a good idea to go ahead and replace it. And got these capacitors up here replaced. I'm starting to run out of 10 microfarad capacitors. I'm starting to figure out that these radios have lots of 10s. So, and I had a whole bunch of 10s, and I think I'm going to have to order some more 10s. I don't know what size these are, but I don't think these are even bad. I mean, the radio's working fine. I'll probably change them. But that current draw again, I just don't know if that's normal. I mean, like with the volume down pretty low, it's at 10, but it goes up, you know. It goes pretty high. With the volume up, so I still think there's something wrong, but I don't know what component could be bad that would be causing excessive current draw like that. Maybe there's a short somewhere. So that's, I don't know. Maybe one of these capacitors is shorted. That would be good luck, I suppose, because I'm going to change them anyway. But they're not, like, nothing's getting warm. I can't feel any components that are warm to the touch at all. So I don't know. That current draw could just be normal for this radio. But I like to only change just like a couple components at a time. That way, if there is a problem, I kind of know where I screwed up at. So I'm going to change the rest of the capacitors later, tomorrow probably. And then if the current draw is still high, I don't know. I might. It seems to be related to the audio section, because if you don't turn the volume up, the current draw is good. I don't know. Oh, we come unclipped. So yeah, with the volume control down, the current, 8 milliamps. That's pretty. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's something shorted. All right, I think we got it in pretty good working order, or as good as it's ever going to work. And I looked over everything again, and so the first thing I did while I was replacing these other capacitors is I put my multimeter in diode mode, and I checked all the transistors, and it was reading about from the base to emitter and base to collector, getting about 0.68, 0.69 on all of them. So I really do think they're probably all good. I don't think any are really shorted. None of the capacitors were shorted. They weren't even really that bad. And then I did notice that this here is actually the audio. This is like the audio driver, and it's push pull, and then the output is push pull. So four of the 6 transistors are actually being used for audio. And I don't know if they have push pull for the driver and the output. Maybe that has something to do with the fact there's not a transformer. I kind of wish I understood that a little bit better. But again, there's only one IF stage. You really wouldn't expect this to perform all that well. And as far as the current draw goes, I watched some other YouTube videos, did some more research, and it's pulling about 8 milliamps at idle, and then at a reasonable volume, it's like 12, 14, and then it kind of peaks bounces from 20 to 30 with the amplitude. So I honestly think that's probably acceptable for this. I think that's probably fine. I really don't think there's anything wrong. But again, I did check everything that I could have reasonably checked for shorts. Nothing's getting hot. I left the radio on for quite a while and touched everything. Went ahead and put a new battery holder in it, new speaker wires. Cleaned all the flux off the back of the board, and then took a Q-tip, cleaned everything up on this side, and got some of that crud out of there. One interesting thing, the detector diode, when I checked it, it had a forward voltage of about 0.6. So either it's a really good normal diode or a really bad Schottky diode. And so my guess was that it was probably a Schottky diode, and it just wasn't very good anymore, but not bad enough to stop anything from working. And this thing is so tiny, and it just itty bitty bitty. I don't know how to tell, if it's a Schottky or not. I don't see any markings or any. I mean, I couldn't even see if the anode was marked on it. I just had to use my multimeter. But when I pulled it out again, I wanted to check it out of circuit just to make sure there wasn't anything weird going on. Same thing, 0.6 volts or so forward bias. So so I have a whole lot of Schottky diodes. I have multiple other ones, and I had SR, I think it was 2102s or 2200s, and these and 3 or 4 others. This was just, I don't know, this is the first one I picked up. So I put that in there. I don't know. I didn't even read the data sheet, honestly. Apparently, I don't know what brand they are, but they came from LCSC. They're probably good quality, but probably better than what was in there. But when I replaced it, it didn't change the current draw, which I didn't really expect it would. And it didn't really seem to help the radio. Didn't seem to help it perform any better. Of course, you'd kind of have to do a side-by-side, I think, to really say if it helped any. But, in theory, I think these really should be Schottky diodes or a germanium diode. And maybe, again, that one may have been, or they may have just went cheap and said, hey, let's just use a regular diode, and who cares? And this doesn't really, it doesn't really look like the germanium diodes I've seen, but it doesn't really look like a silicon either. So I don't know, honestly. But it again seems to work the same either way. So I just left it in there. And here's all the capacitors that I replaced, and then there's that one resistor that had solder all over it, which it wasn't bad, and then battery holder. Performance is not anything to write home about. One of the problems with this radio is that the dial is, it's so, the ratio is so high that this thing only makes like maybe not even a half a turn, and it goes from one end of the band to the other. So it's really, you have to turn it crazy slow to get it to find a station. This thing was definitely cheap made, no doubts. It was picking up 3 or 4 stations earlier. I mean, when it does land on a station, it's not too bad. It's just very... That's buzzing is the air conditioner running outside my window here.
In the story of the series,
if you go really slow, you can get a couple of more stations.
Bobby Lane, Norm Van Brocklin.
But the main problem, and I guess this is just due to having one IF, is earlier I had quite a few stations coming in, and you had to be very careful about how you tuned it, because it was trying to pick up, two stations on top of each other with one IF. That's, I mean, maybe you could align it and get it a little bit better, but I don't think it would really ever perform any better than this. I think this is just a very, very cheap radio, and it was just, I mean, honestly, look at it. I mean, it was a toy. It wasn't really meant to, quote unquote, be used a lot. So some pair of brothers probably got these for Christmas. I know my parents used to get me and my brother stuff that matched all the time. So, and they maybe never even used them. So anyway, it was a lot of fun to fix. Even though there wasn't anything crazy wrong with it. And G.I. Joe B, I'm going to do him next. The only thing is I have went through a ton of 10 microfarad capacitors and quite a few 100s on these last few radios that I've worked on, and I am one capacitor away from being tapped out on 10s. I don't have any 63 volts. I don't have any 50s, 16s. All I've got is some really cheap ones from eBay, that I bought like 15 years ago, and I'm not gonna put those in here or anything really. So I'm gonna have to order some capacitors before I can go any further. But anyway, I appreciate y'all coming along with me. We'll see you in the next one.